All right. Man, oh man, oh man. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Hey Trisha, what's going on, sweetie? How you doing? All right, all right. So, I mean, this is when it rains, it fucking pours. All right. So, this has just been one big fucking clusterfuck of an end of a year into a beginning of a year. Um, First started off with my mother. She had an accident, whereas though, she fell off the potty chair, hit her head and stuff like that. Had to take her to the doctor and everything like that. Then the furnace caught a fire in my basement. Yeah, luckily I woke up and I caught it before it like burnt up the whole house. Had to get that tended to. Then it was like one scenario after another after another. Whereas the next one that occurred was getting a new furnace, and and that was that was just a clusterfuck in itself. You just had fucking shitty ass contractors after shitty ass contractors until a good family member and friend came through, and the Mexican guy came through and helped me get everything done. Then after that, I had an accident where don't even I ain't even gonna go into that one, but it was just another scenario. Then finally, to put the icing on the cake, my best friend since seventh grade dies. Yeah, you know, yeah, some people, and I'm not making this about me or anything like that, but you truly see the sensitivity level of people when they're like, or you know what, you literally see how some of these people have no empathy or compassion for other people when something happens. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been getting questions like, it's not like, like, is the family okay or whatever? Hey, what's up? I don't care. It's not like the family, like they're concerned about the family or anything like that. They just asking questions about what happened and this, that, and the other. Not how are you? Not how are you or whatever the case may be. And first and foremost, I'm not at liberty to tell you, regardless of how close I am to the family or whatever the situation is. I'm not at liberty to tell you what happened to this man. That's this man has a wife, children, mother, so on and so forth. But that's neither here nor there. So I've been feeling like shit these past couple of days. I ain't been doing shit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't shaved. I ain't really been doing nothing, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey Terry, how are you, sweetie? So, I was sitting up here chilling. Then my good old partner Mika hit me up. Was chopping it up with me. We talking and everything like that. And then she was like, "Man, got a little something for you, bro. Don't you know she came through with a Mexican Sprite? Look, came through with a Mexican Sprite, a refresco, and she made me look a pineapple shrimp bowl. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me I don't have some wonderful friends, man. Hey, Martin, what's going on? Yep, she made me a pineapple shrimp bowl, yo. I'm gonna try it right on camera with you guys here. Mm, that's really good. Mm. I know I haven't really been having an appetite or anything like that, because that was my best friend. Fred was he was a phenomenal man, an amazing man. He how I met Fred was in the seventh grade, right? Now the school he went to, he decided his mother, when they moved over here, she put him in she put him in George Washington Carver School, which is where we went to. And he yeah, thank you, Terry. Thank you so much. You can tell he was clean cut. He wasn't from the hood and shit like that. Because his mother, because he had a brother too. His mother made sure that he had got the proper schooling and everything like that. So, when I first saw him in school, I was used to getting suspended and getting in trouble. I was always the weird one or the odd one and stuff like that. So when he first started coming there, some people would fuck with him. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like I was some big dude. I was skinny forever. You know what I'm saying? Some people would fuck with him and all that other crazy shit. Like harass him and like pick with him because of the way he spoke and so on and so forth. Me myself, I would look at him sometime in the classroom because they had put him in the 7th grade with me. And I forgot my 7th grade teacher, but she was an old light-skinned lady. And she didn't like me because she said I looked like her husband. Now, mind you, in the 7th grade, how old are you? Like 11, maybe 10 or whatever. I don't know. 10, no, 11. Because they had skipped me when I went to East Orange. And then when they put me back over here in Newark, my mother made them put me back in a grade that I was supposed to be in. So, as time went on, I kind of like grew interest in him because he was very boisterous in terms of his education and stuff like that. And he would start talking about how smart he was going to Newark school and stuff. And I'd be sitting in the back of the classroom because I was always being put in the back of the classroom and shit like that. I'll be sitting in the back of the classroom. I'll just be watching them like shit like that, right? Now, mind you, I would have action figures in my I would have action figures and shit like that in my desk. Typical like loser. You know what I'm saying? So I'm watching him back there, people picking with him. He was like, and I'm smarter than you, and I can do this, and I can do that. And I'm just looking at him like this, right? So then it came to a point where, like, after school, not only dudes, but girls wanted to whoop his ass too. So I wasn't, how can I say? I wasn't a popular guy in school, in grade school, but I was basically like, how can I say? There. I was just there. And they knew me as a jokester, as a crazy guy. Like at one point they wanted to have me tested to see if I was like insane or something like that. And I wasn't. I just didn't, I just didn't feel like doing a lot of shit. And when they gave me a test, I would pass it. That's how I passed each grade. Because my mother homeschooled me before I even got there. By the time, that's how I was almost skipped when I went to I got skipped at Oakwood Avenue School when we moved up to East Orange. And we got back here, my mother put me in the right grade. So getting back to Fred, there was this one girl that he was in love with, right? Because I found out he lived around the corner from me. And sometimes I would see him going to the store around our way called Will's. And I'm sitting on Isha porch and I see Fred. I'm like, yo, Fred, what's up? Like that, right? He's like, hey, what's going on? I was like that, right? So then, we started becoming friends, hanging out, laughing and joking. He would, like, whenever he would get in trouble or whatever, especially in school, I would just get in trouble for him. I'd be like, that was me doing it because it was nothing for me to get suspended. My mother was used to me coming home for a suspension and shit like that, to where, like, after a while, she was just like, I don't know what else to do with you. So, we became real good friends. I would go over his house and eat. We would trade action figures back and forth. And this friendship, this one act of kindness of me and Raha, I'll tell you, I wouldn't let nobody bother him. This one act of kindness literally turned into a loving friendship that spanned decades. No bullshit. Because as we got older, and for me, my teenage years were my worst. I hated my teenage years. Hated them. I hated my teenage years. Fred took me under his wing, and so did his family. His family looked out for me like I was like their own. They never treated me any different. Because by that time, my mother, the last set of kids she had, she was going through a depression. Like, it wasn't no time for Danae no more. You know what I'm saying? My older sister was gone. My grandmother, she was getting sick and shit like that. So, you know, it was kind of like I was on my own. You know, there were days when I was hungry. There were days when I didn't really know what to do because I was a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Now, now me being young, I could say like me being like in my like, you know, I would say things started changing for me when I hit the age of 10, 11, because that's when things with my mother's marriage started going bad, all sorts of shit. You know what I'm saying? My mother had stopped going to work. It wasn't money coming in the house like it used to. All that other shit. She got into this major depression, and every now and then she would get sick. Then she got diabetes. It was just one thing after another. You know? Thank you, Ronnie. I'm doing great, man. So to make a long story short, Fred's family kind of like they took me in from like for like my teen years. They took me in. Because you know at one point I just left home, and you know things just got rough for me and stuff like that. They took me in. They fed me. They treated me literally like a family member. And from there on, like roles reversed. Like Fred would look out for me. He made sure I had this. He made sure I had that. You know what I'm saying? He was a good dude well into our adulthood. In my 20s, when I needed a job, he got me a job. Wherever he went, I went. He made sure I was going with him. You understand what I'm saying? And who would have ever thought that a simple act of kindness, and it wasn't even kindness, it was just me growing a liking to him because he was different from everybody else in school. You know what I'm saying? We were like, who would know a simple act of kindness would give me a lifelong loving friend? I mean, a genuine friend. And many times we didn't see eye to eye on things. And let me tell you, Fred was the one who taught me how to debate. Not only because Carver, they had a debating team, but you had to be with the in crowd to be on the debating team. Fred would start arguments and debates with people and would he would just go at it he could debate with you for years on something, even if he was wrong. And what made me love him is the fact that even when you found him out that was wrong, he would just say some old obscure shit. He'd be like, and that's why it happened. I was like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? But I do miss Fred. Frederick Prime was an amazing person, amazing man, amazing father. Even when I was bartending and bouncing and working at go-go bars and stuff, wherever I was at, Fred would come there. It wouldn't even care. When my brother was dying, he took care of my family that was in the hospital and everything like that, made sure they had food, made sure their rooms was clean, everything. Fred was an amazing person. I have nothing bad to say about that man nor his family. I'm telling you, he was an amazing man. And the thing about it is, not only was he an amazing man, he was an amazing father too. Because Fred inspired me to do so many things. He inspired me to have a better vocabulary. He inspired me to want more out of life. He inspired me. He taught me about like some of the simplest things that I did not know that were meaningful as a child. He taught me. He even taught me about, I remember, I never forget. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yes, he was, Fly Howard. He was the real deal. He was a good man. Good man. A man of many talents. Women loved, believe it or not, women loved him. Women loved him when, like, back in the, because we would go on double dates and everything like that. Oh, man. I could tell you some stories about this dude, him and I double dating. Absolutely amazing. It's just reason why y'all haven't been seeing me online. Yes, we're keeping warm, Mary Anthony. Thank you, baby. Reason why you haven't really seen me online and posting anything, because I have been grieving, because the family let me know as soon as they knew. I mean, like that's how close we were. Even his wife, his wonderful wife, called me. It was like, Danae, are you okay? This, that, and the other. And I'm gonna be honest with you. For the first 2 days, even now, still, because like it's taking a lot. The reason why I'm taking pauses in between is because this wasn't just a friend. This was like a family member. And see, like with me, I make my family members out of people that I meet through life. My biological family, I love them, but they not my family. I don't consider them family. I have friends that I've met online, like Shamika, that I consider family. Martin, Jeffrey. The list goes on. Like these motherfuckers are in my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? But Fred, from seventh grade, he has always been in my life. He has always popped up. He would just pop up at the house and Fred could just walk in. Fred was just like Jay. Fred, Jay, Dave, Aki. It's a certain amount of people that I consider family that can just walk in my house and I don't even care. I can still keep talking. I'll just turn my head like that and just keep doing what I'm doing. Along with other people. But it just ruined me. It ruined me. And she told me early in the morning, like, I was already up. So, I'm up there, because I get up in the morning around about, I sleep no later unless I'm like extremely tired or I had a busy day the night before. I get up no later than 6:30, 6 o'clock. Sometimes I even wake up 5:30. That's a daily regimen for me. And like I'll probably try to work out a little bit, but this whole scenario has me. Yes, indeed, Howard. Yes, I do. And see what I liked about Fred too is that no matter where, like, if it could go times when, like, because when he really got into his career, a lot of the hanging out and partying and stuff like that, especially when he got married, it came to a standstill. And I wasn't upset with him about that. He moved on. He transcended. He did better than me. He got married. He got this. He got that. And him and his wife worked out very well. You know what I'm saying? I understand, like, when people make achievements in their life or they move on in life or they make changes in their life, it's not going to be about Danae. Hell, you know what I'm saying? Whatever I get from people I consider genuine friends, I cherish it. Whatever little bit. I mean, we went from seeing each other just about at least almost every day to where, like, sometimes maybe once every couple of months or once what's the name, but he would always stop by no matter where I was at. He would stop by on my post here. He would come on here, start picking around with people, messing with people, debating with me. He'll start up like some random ass conversation that just like totally obscure, totally non sequitur. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be like, what are you talking about? And he'd be like, yeah, and that's why it happened. And he'll be like, or he'll like, all right, we can say like this pineapple right here. We'd be like, pineapples or pineapples. He'd be like, well, actually, it's not pineapple. It's really an apple that got pines on it. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He'd be like, yeah. And I was like, Fred, you're looking for a debate. You're looking to start. I said, I'm not even going to entertain this or dignify that with an answer or a response right now because I know where you're going with this. And then like we would go on Xbox and stuff like that. He'd piss off people on there with his logic and reasoning, but it was all done in good fun. He was a genuinely wonderful man. He adopted 2 wonderful twins and raised them as his children. So, I mean, like, it's just so much with this man. So much, man. So much. Like, it's just like everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm seeing, it's reminding me of him. Even down to fucking video games. Like, I play a video game, I start thinking of Fred now. Because it's inevitable. It's inevitable that it not remind me. Fred was the one, I could tell you some of his favorite games. Gyrus, a lot of people don't know. Fred was the one who introduced me to Street Fighter. You understand what I'm saying? I remember us going on dates to arcades. We taking girls there and taking them to clubs and stuff like that. All of our dates always began or ended with an arcade. Because in Elizabeth, there used to be this arcade that would stay open pretty much like, you could actually say almost 24 hours. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I learned a lot from him. Not only that, my first car, My first car was basically given to me by him. How I learned how to drive was basically, even though I knew how to drive already, but to drive legally was through him and his family. Now, growing up, we did some teenage shit. I pissed off his mom. I pissed off his father and stuff like that. Because, like, I had never been exposed to a family like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, by the time I was getting into my teens and 20s, most of my relatives were dying off, and my mother was fucked up, like sick in terms of like fucked up, not getting high, nothing like that. But she was sick and shit like that, and I was just pretty much on my own. But luckily, I had that family that taught me a lot of things. They literally took me in. The Atwells, the Glens, the Primes, all of the motherfuckers took me in. They took me in like I was family and didn't treat me any different than I was family. I mean, I met a lot of girls messing around with, hanging with Fred. I mean, me and his cousin became close. Everything. It's just unfathomable what happened. And the thing about it is, he would come and talk to me, and each time I saw him, I could see a different Fred, unlike the one that I knew before. And I don't expect people to stay the same, but I'm talking physically. Physically, I could tell, there was a little something going on, but I never made him feel like I was like, one of these individuals like, oh my God, and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. He used to love for me to sometimes play guitar for him right here. You know what I'm saying? He was the one that got me to really bump up my skill in playing guitar and all sorts of stuff. He was the one that got me into playing competitively and Street Fighter online and stuff like that. He introduced me to Street Fighter. It's just so many things this man did for me. So many things this man did for me. I'm going to miss him dearly. I'm still kind of like in shock about it. I haven't talked to nobody, like none of his family members or nothing like that. I spoke to his mother once. If she wants to reach out to me, she knows how to get in contact with me. And the sad part about it is, this isn't her first son she lost. Just last year, she lost her other son. So she's lost 2 sons within 2 years, or almost a year, you can say. So this is very bad. I know, Sarah. I know he'll always be with me, but it's just gonna be. I just don't know what I'm gonna do without. I don't know, because out of a month, Fred is gonna come and harass me or come by and just to start up a conversation with me. You know what I'm saying? Because he knows what things to say. See, there's a lot of people like that can say things to me, and I completely ignore them, if not everybody. But Fred will say certain things and bring it up for debate, and I'll be like, "You stupid ass!" I was like, "Bro," and we'll get into it. And he'll start laughing like that, right? And I'll be like, "You stupid!" I say, "You piece of shit," like that, right? But exactly. Fly Howard said he remembers those days on the porch. Exactly. And think about it, Howard. We had some fun times, man. I wouldn't change my youth for nothing. I wouldn't change growing up the way I did for anything, because I feel as though this newer generation, they didn't party like us. They didn't enjoy things like us. We had beautiful women. We had, man, I'm telling you. This newer generation, and I never thought I would be the type of individual that would say like, oh, when I was young. No, I am that type of individual now that literally says like, when I was younger, we had it better than you guys. I mean, all the newer generation basically has better than us is technology. That's it. Hey Jeff, how are you? Jeff will tell you he met Fred too. Fred was one of those personalities that if you met him, you never forgot him. So what I'm gonna start doing, I'm gonna ask his wife first if she minds if I tell stories about me and Fred and the adventures we had. Because believe me when I tell you, Fred and I had adventures. I hope she'll let me tell a story about when we held a house party at his mom's house, and it just turned out into a fucking wreck. The time when we was always going out on double dates. We was always going out on double dates. And at the end of the night, we stop at White Castle. We go to clubs and bars and shit like that. Even when we wasn't old enough to, we went. We would always like if I got paid on a Friday, I would like Fred, are we going out? You want to go out? Want to go out tonight? And I would actually get upset if we didn't go out. If he was alive, he would tell you the story about this girl named Nikki that I dated from Elizabeth. Oh my God. You guys ever went out with a woman or a man? Every time, well, see, when we was younger, shit was always happening. But every time I went out with this woman, something would happen. Something would happen. I mean, like literally one time we got into a big fight over her. Went to the movie theater. The guy that was running the reels in the movie was mad that I was at the movie theater with her because he used to date her. And I knew this girl was going to be trouble. But that's a story for another time. But if Fred was alive, boy, he would tell you. He would tell you. We had some wonderful times, man. I'm going to miss the hell out of him, man. That first date, and she told me that I was, I ain't let nobody see me crying and shit because I'm not that type of dude that's going to bust out crying. If I do, I'll just turn it off or I'll go somewhere or, I'll drive somewhere and whatever because I don't like motherfuckers seeing me in a weakened state and shit like that because some people get their rocks off seeing you cry, even if it's over something that you held dear. You know what I'm saying? But man, that was an amazing man. I pale in comparison to that man. He was absolutely amazing. Extremely intelligent individual. Sometimes a little too smart for his own good. Extremely intelligent individual. Funny as hell. And the thing about it is, a lot of times when he's funny, like even when he's trying to be serious, you'll find yourself laughing because of some of the shit that he says. And he would debate with anybody, his mother, his father. Everybody caught the sauce from this motherfucker. Everybody. Everybody caught sauce from him. Thank you for this Sprite, Mika, and thank you for this pineapple bowl, the shrimp pineapple bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen, Mika made me a shrimp pineapple bowl that I can barely finish. You gave me a lot, Mika. I'm already full, man. I can't handle all of this. But yeah. Rest in peace, Fred Prime. I'm gonna miss you. I'm just because see, like, unlike anybody else, Fred was my friend. He was my brother. And I'm just at a loss, man. I'm just really at a loss because I just don't like. Thank you, Mika. I greatly appreciate it, sweetie. I'm just full, man. That was a lot you gave me. That whole pineapple, like that whole half cut pineapple is filled up. Like I can't handle it. I know I am, brother. I know I am. But that first day, man, I was fucked up, man. I'm still fucked up because, like, I knew something was wrong because of the way. I'm not saying like Fred has to give me attention, but I knew something was wrong because of the way he wasn't really participating in a lot of stuff like he used to. You know what I'm saying? And our conversations were long, but not as long as they usually are. You know what I'm saying? And like the last time he was in the hospital, we were talking for hours. Laughing and joking. But, he was like, yeah, let me get some rest. And this and that. I said, all right, brother. You know what I'm saying? I knew what it was, man. I knew what it was. And he's a wonderful person. He's a wonderful person. He was a wonderful person. We lost a good one. When we lost Fred Prime, anybody that knew Fred will tell you that he was a wonderful person. You may not have liked his rhetoric every now and then, but as a person, as a whole, this motherfucker would literally not only give you the shirt off his back, he would give you the house that he was living in to make sure you were okay. He was a wonderful man. His family's the same way. His family's the same way. His family's the same way. It's just certain people that come into your life that when they're gone, they take something with you. When my brother got killed, that took away something. When my nephew got killed, that took away something. When Jay got killed, it took away something. Honestly, I'm going to be very, very honest with you. When Jay got killed, that was the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of how I look at black on black crime. You understand what I'm saying? My brother and Jay, when they got killed, that was it. I was like, this is ridiculous. And regardless of what, whatever people may say about my brother, whatever the case may be, it was still another black person that did it. You know what I mean? Like Jay, it was still another black person that did it. But although this is a scenario where, though, Fred was taken from us, due to, circumstances beyond our control, it still took away something from me. And what with me, I'm the type like this. It seems like, and I've been doing some self-evaluation about this shit. It seemed like each time I lose somebody that I dearly love and dearly care about, I become more and more coarse, less emotional. So whereas I'm like, it's not like I don't care about anybody, but a lot of shit just don't mean anything to me anymore. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit is just like, that's why in a way you really don't even see me talking as much as I used to about current events and trying to like help people out in terms of like seeing things from a positive perspective, because I had to learn that people not going to change. Like some people just not going to change, especially in nowadays. Like people are content with eating and then shitting out their shit and eating their own shit, and they feel as though it's healthy rather than trying something new or looking to broaden their mindscape or whatever the case may be. But this shit really bothered me. It really bothered me. I can only, his mother is destroyed. She's literally like melted right now. You know what I'm saying? It's I told her, I sent her messages like, I love you, Ma. You know what I'm saying? Because that's my mother. I consider her my mother. I consider Aunt Didi my aunt. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody over there is my family. Like those motherfuckers is my family. They need me. They got me. You understand what I'm saying? And even when I was doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing, Fred would always pop up. No matter, I could be in a shootout somewhere and shit like that. Fred will be like, yo, how you doing, bro? I'll be like, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know where we at? Like when I was working at the Go-Go bar and shit like that. Worked there for years. Fred was on a, like, was engaged in everything. And he would stop there. And if you look at it, if his wife wasn't very understanding, she'd be like, oh, this motherfucker going to the Go-Go bar to go fuck bitches and this, that, and the other. He jeopardized his marriage just to come see me. When I first started bartending, he came to, like, he would come to the bar. Fred didn't drink. He would come to the bar, chill out with me, shoot the shit with me, sometimes stay there till it's closing, hang out with me and all that other shit. Close the bar with me, the whole shit. I do miss him. And I know I'm not going to find anybody else like him, man. Fred was just one in a million, man. One in a fucking million, bro. I'm not going to find nobody like that nigga, man. He's a good dude. Good dude. Yep. They had put up some baby pictures of him, and I literally, yeah. That was a good dude, bro. And you know what? That nigga could dance his ass off too, and he could run. Believe it or not, he was on the wrestling team. Nigga taught me how to wrestle real good. He was a good dude, man. Real good dude. Strong as fuck, too. Don't get it fucked up. Fred was strong as fuck, man. He was a good dude, man. Real good dude. Real good dude. Could dance his ass off. Believe it or not, he could run. He was the one that got me into weightlifting and shit like that. This dude, this man was amazing, bro. He was a good man, yo. Anybody that ever came into contact with him, they knew he was a good dude. He didn't take no shit now. Don't get it fucked up. But he was a good dude. He ain't take no shit. But he was a good dude. And he had foresight too. Now, he could look at certain motherfuckers and he'd be like, this motherfucker ain't shit. A lot of my intuition skills came from him too. And I tell you, when it came to women, man, listen, he would sometimes we go out on, like, we would meet girls and stuff like that, and the girls would be so flabbergasted, like just so astounded by his fucking charisma and his confidence, to where like Fred would get girls all day long. No bullshit. Fred would get girls all fucking day. No bullshit. Believe me when I tell you, Fred was a Casanova out this motherfucker. He was a real Casanova out this motherfucker. And it wasn't like he was getting ugly girls either. It wasn't like he was getting ugly girls either. It was it was this one time, right? It was this one girl he used to go through it all the time with. And I don't know why, but like him and her, I don't know. They loved each other, but they would just try to get one up on each other all the time. And he'd be like, he would come in the house mad, right? I'm like, what's wrong, Fred? He'd be like, this bitch. I was like, who? He was like, fucking Cricket. I was like, who? He was like, fucking Cricket. But for years, this was like his loving frenemy woman that he loved. I'm telling you. And I forgot what was the final straw that broke the camel's back, but Fred was an amazing dude, man. I'm going to ask his wife and his family if it's okay if I do videos every now and then telling stories of when we went on dates and when we was hanging out and stuff like that. Even his mother used to debate with him sometimes. And like he would go so off the rails, right? Sometimes he would go so far off the rails and shit. Because see, this is the thing. If he saw he was losing the debate, he'll just try to plant the flagpole somewhere else and be like, yeah, but that shirt you got on, you didn't even pay for. You'd be like, what the fuck? Like, he would just go somewhere completely Dimension Z. Like, you know what I'm saying? You'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And his mother used to do this thing, right? Because every now and then, like, Tony wouldn't debate with him. Tony'd be like, Fred, just go. He'd be like, Fred, or he'd be like, Bucky, just go. But his mother would debate back with him, right? And then, like, he would just take it, like, when she would start whooping his ass and debating and shit like that, he would be like, and yeah, and that's why the food is burning. Like that, right? And she'd be like, she would do this thing and it would have me busting out laughing. She would look at me and go, do, 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 do. Like that. She said, this boy is literally a circus, man. But man, I'm gonna miss him so much. I'm gonna miss him so fucking much. He was a good guy, man. They don't make him like him no more. They really don't. He was a good man. A very good man. And I'm just on here, just venting a little bit. Oh yeah. All right, so Daniel, do you remember the time when Fred got beat up? Because we kept telling Daniel, do you remember we kept telling Fred, stop going across that fucking Clinton Place Bridge? Remember we kept telling him, stop going across the Clinton Place Bridge. So he all right. This is the thing. When we was growing up, Hawthorne Avenue was crazy. Chancellor Avenue was crazy. Lyons Avenue was okay, but Lyons Avenue was like, you could get robbed on Lyons Avenue. Hawthorne Avenue, you got it all. You got robbed, you got beat up, you got everything. So Fred was always this motherfucker that was just like delusional to a lot of shit. So Daniel and I, which is my best friend right here, Daniel, and I've known him since I was a child. I actually known Daniel longer than I've known Fred. Daniel and I was telling him to stop going across that bridge like that at nighttime, walking your dog. He was like, oh no, my dog will bite him, and this, that, and the other. All right, so he goes across the bridge, right? He goes across the Clinton Place Bridge. Everybody knows you do not cross the Clinton Place Bridge, the Osborne Terrace Bridge, and it's 3 bridges you don't cross at nighttime. This motherfucker, it was the Osborne Terrace, Clinton Place Bridge. It was another spot that you don't go past. Like even Bergen Street was a little bit leery at nighttime. Unless you was known to be out there with the other scum that was out there, you shouldn't really be out there too long. So he was he decides to walk his dog. He decides to walk his fucking dog across the Clinton Place Bridge. Now he had been doing it a few times, and Daniel told him, like, look, Brigard, there you go. Exactly. You're not supposed to walk. Those are motherfucking bridges you don't come across. You don't walk across them. Like, you're gonna get it if you go over there. At Bergen Street Bridge, exactly. Don't cross none of them shits at nighttime because you're gonna get the business. That you're gonna get it. So Fred decides to take his ass. Because he had got comfortable. Because sometimes Nye Avenue would tear your ass up too. So he went across that bridge this one time, right? And he went over there because he used to go to the candy store that was on Hawthorne and Clinton Place, because they had like certain candy that he liked, right? And I said, Fred, you better stop going over there, man. I said that, like, you ain't from that area. And like Hawthorne was weird. Like sometimes they fuck with you, but other times if you wasn't from Hawthorne, they whooping your ass. You know what I'm saying? So Fred goes over there, kept going, and he was like, yo, because they got the shoestrings, they got the jelly monies, the big ones and stuff. I said, Fred, it ain't worth it, man. And Daniel kept telling me, he was like, yo, stop going over there. You're going to get your ass fucked up. Like Daniel kept telling him. He went across that bridge one night, walking his dog, and I think his dog name was King. Something like that. I forgot the dog's name. He walked the dog across the fucking bridge and shit like that, man. Next thing you know, they said, yo, he said, because he ran to my house. He was like, yo, I was over there. And they said, yo, come here. And so he said the dog started barking, and he said they had, you know, the shits that be in carpets, like that, they're the long round spindles that be in carpets and shit like that. They had one of the long round spindles, and Fred tried to run because they was going to rob him, right? They said, don't run, you fat motherfucker. Them motherfuckers caught up with his ass and beat him half to death, beat the dog up, beat him all in the head and shit like that with a cardboard roller, like the spindle, like the spindle that the carpet go on. I don't know how these niggas got a hold of it, but they got a hold of a cardboard spindle with a the cardboard spindle, and them shits is hard. And they thick, and they kept hitting him in the head, and shit like that, right? They kept hitting him in the head. And I was like, Fred, you gotta stop going over that fucking bridge. He came to the house, the dog was gone. Dog was fucking gone and shit. They had ripped his shirt, clunked him in the head. He had a couple of speed knots all on top of his head, and the dog was gone, right? So luckily, the dog Fred ran down Nye and cut across Huntington. The dog ran back to the house. So they both just split up and left each other. And Fred was like, my dog is gone and this, that, and the other. And somehow his mother called my house and was like, the dog is here. Where you at? He was like, the dog left me. I was like, yeah, Fred. I was like, that was one instance, right? So then the niggas started fucking with him, right? So I guess they found out kind of like where he lived, because where he lived, once you jumped off the Clinton Place Bridge, you could kind of like see his house a little bit. It was right there. And so I guess the dudes saw where the dog went, because they chased the dog too. They beat the dog's ass with the cardboard carpet spindle and shit like that. They was beating the dog's ass. So then they found out where the dog went, and they kidnapped the dog. So his dog went missing. They kidnapped the dog and shit like that. I think they kept his dog for like they kept his dog for like, they kept his dog for like a good minute. They kept his dog for like 2-3 weeks. And then they gave him back. They fed the dog and every fucking thing. And then the fucked up part about it, when he got the dog back, I think the dog ran away because they didn't want to stay with him no more. Because I guess whatever the fuck they was doing to him and feeding him, he wanted to go back. So Fred lost his dog. And it all because he ain't listening to us telling him not to go across that bridge. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, we had some great times, man. Especially when I was when I started working with him at we used to work at AT&T together. He got me a job there, right? I'm gonna tell you this one last story, and I'm gonna let you guys go. I had to blur it out. I had to turn off the camera for a minute because I was fucked up for a minute because I was thinking about him and shit like that. But I try to think of fun things that we did together. You know what I'm saying? That'll keep me smiling, man. Because that first day when they told me, that's just like if somebody told me Daniel died, or like Naima or Nisa. Like all of us, we all hung out. It's just like when Addison passed away. Like that was something you just didn't expect. Like they were like neighborhood representatives. Like everybody loved these people. Like Fred was somebody everybody loved. You know what I'm saying? It was just rough. So let me tell you about this one story. I'm gonna let y'all go on this, because this is kind of like helping me. You know what I'm saying? So we work in the tri-maintenance AT&T and shit like that. We was in Piscataway. So that job was wild. We were young. We was always doing shit. It was pretty much a warehouse and an office building full of practical jokers, right? So Fred got mad at the supervisor, right? And the supervisor used to bring us into work because what had happened? We used to carpool together. Right? He seems to always like doing his own thing. Can't talk him out of stuff from knowing him a little. Exactly. And that's exactly how Fred was. Exactly. Daniel says we lived in a tight-knit community, nothing but love growing up. Exactly. I wouldn't change my childhood for shit, man. I even though I didn't have that much, I had friends around me, and we all shared whatever the fuck we had, bro. No bullshit. So it was like we never went without. You know what I'm saying? If I got a new game, Daniel, we would trade it off or let people hold it and shit like that. If he got a new game, or if he was eating, they feeding me. We all eating this, that, and the other. And I think in the neighborhood, they knew that my situation was a little bit worse than others. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people like looked out for me and took care of me and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Daniel's family took care of me. Isha's family took care of me. Fred's family took care of me. Tameen's family took care of me and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So I came from humble beginnings and shit like that. And I learned to appreciate even the smallest shit. You know what I'm saying? The reason why you still see me collect and play with action figures is because that was usually, when that stuff was out, that was some of the most happiest times of my life. You understand what I'm saying? And that's because when I started going into my teens and adulthood, it was just terrible. It was terrible. If I could have went back to my childhood, I would have. But I dealt with it. But yeah. So we was working at this place up in Piscataway. And we had this one man supervisor called Kevin. Kevin used to bring us into work because we would carpool, and at that time our cars was breaking down. Or like sometimes, Kevin lived in the area. He was the one that brought up the idea for us to all carpool together. So he was like, all right, cool. This motherfucker would bring us. Now, mind you, this is supervisor. He would bring us in late because he was fucking around, sleeping late, all that other shit, and then write us up. So you know what Fred did? I never forget. I was eating a bowl of cereal in the locker room, right? Because that's what it was all about, food and just waiting for Friday's paycheck and shit like that. And play food, video games, going out on dates, bars and clubs. Bars and clubs and movies and shit like that. That was our weekly regimen in our 20s and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Or like late teens and shit like that. So who was it? Fucking what was that guy's name? His name was Kevin. He was our supervisor, right? Real big, heavy, husky dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Big dude, right? So Fred got mad at him because he had gotten a write-up, and if he get another one, he would have got fired, right? I said, Fred, it's no big fucking deal. I got a write-up too. They done wrote us up like 8-9 times and shit. At that point, we knew we weren't getting fired. They wanted us to quit, but they didn't want to fire us because we did work good. You know what I'm saying? But we were like the fucking practical jokers of the warehouse, and shit was always going on, with us and shit like that. We made a work day into a fucking comedy skit. So Fred, right? Fred used to always hang out in the bathroom because he was always shitting. You know what I'm saying? Me myself, I was in there eating a bowl of cereal because I used to keep boxes of cereal in my locker just in case I wanted to eat cereal and shit like that. Sitting there eating cereal and shit like that. I see Fred coming in and slam the lock. I said, "The fuck wrong with you?" Like that, right? Like, this motherfucker rolled me out. I was like, all right, we always getting rolled up, nigga. Like, what the fuck is wrong? Like, he was like, they rolled me up, and if I get one more. I said, Fred, you're not going to get fired. I said, if they was going to fire us, they'd have done it a long time ago. I said, we are the fuck-ups of the warehouse. You know what I'm saying? They like the way we work. So, I'm started eating the cereal. He says, I'm not dealing with this shit. Now, mind you, Kevin's locker was always down at the end, right? But somehow or another, Fred got into his locker, right? Fred knocked the lock off. He knocked that lock off with a hammer. And some kind of way he put it back on to make it seem like it was like, what's the name? He went in the bathroom. No, first he went to the bathroom, shitted, right? He went and shitted in the bathroom, right? Now, mind you, you can shit around me. I can still eat. I don't give a fuck. I'm a fucking barbarian. I don't give a fuck. You can shit, piss, whatever the fucking case may be. I don't care. So, he in the bathroom. He's shitting and everything like that. I'm eating my cereal and shit like that on the bench and shit like that in the locker room. And I was like, Fred, he came out with his pants with his pants down and shit. I said, the fuck is you doing? Like that. He goes in Kevin's locker, right? He went in, he took two of Kevin's company shirts, because they used to make us wear uniforms at AT&T. He took two of Kevin's company shirts, went and took it in the bathroom and shit. And he was like, Danae, look. He put the shit between his ass cheeks and stripped like the collar part. He put the shit between his ass cheeks and stripped that shit up like that. And then wiped it off with paper towel to where as though like the scent and all that shit was still in there, but he couldn't see it. I said, Fred, what the fuck, bro? I said, you wildin'. I said, what is wrong with you? He said, this motherfucker wrote me up. Because it was fucked up because Kevin was the one who wrote him up. You brought us in late. You was late, Kevin. We was waiting on you. We went to work with you, and then you gonna write us up late? Me and myself, I really didn't give a fuck because I just didn't give a fuck. Fred took, then you know what he did, because Fred sometimes had smelly feet, right? He took the other shirt and drug it all in between his toes and shit like that. He took 3 of this man's shirt. He made one a foot funky one, and he made the other 2. He said, Danae, look. I said, what the fuck are you doing? Like that, right? I said, what the fuck are you doing? He was like, look. Turn around. I said, nigga, I don't want to see your fucking ass, nigga. He said, no, look. He went like this, turned sideways, and put the shirt in between his ass and between his nuts and squoze his legs together and drug it out like that. I said, bruh, I said, Fred, you are fucking out of control. What is wrong with you? Now, it didn't stop with that. So that day, no, the following day, we go back to work, right? We go back to work because the company, they used to come and wash our uniforms. We just throw all our uniforms, our dirty uniforms in the carts, and they would wash our uniforms and bring them back to us. You know what I'm saying? Because we had our names and shit in it like that. They had already Fred waited for it. It was already a clean day because like they would bring your shirts back to you like on hangers and all that other crazy shit. Fred put that shit back on a hanger. So the following day, we come into work, and I forgot that he had did it, but I didn't forget it until I saw Kevin going like this. Kevin was working, right? He was like, this detergent. He said, they got to stop using this detergent, man. I said, I don't think it's detergent, Kevin. Like that, right? So he started working. He said, I said, yeah, man. I said, it get like that sometime. Because, we be working and stuff like that. I said, my booty get juicy sometime when I'm like working and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, I don't know. And I looked at Fred. I said, like that, right? Fred just started busting out laughing, right? Busting out laughing. Because Fred used to work on the high-low. Like, because we used to pull heavy-duty furniture down. Because, like, we used to set up computers, set up furniture, cubicles, and all that shit. Like that, you know what I'm saying? And I'll be like, when Fred started laughing, I just looked up because he was up in the air. Fred was up in the air, maybe like 40 feet in the air on the high-low, busting out laughing. I said, and I just looked at Kevin. Kevin was like, all these shirts. He said, these shirts need to be cleaned again. I said, and then like he would come and talk to me, and Kevin was a big dude. And I went like this. I said, well, maybe, because he was like, these shirts stink. I was like, well, maybe, maybe you take him home. And what's the name? I knew what happened. I tell you, that Fred had me dying laughing. Last story, dealing with Kevin Williams. Okay, so after that, Kevin, now mind you, Kevin was our supervisor, right? He was our supervisor. After that, Fred had oh man, this one was fucked up. They used to give us a boot allowance as well, right? Now, Fred, I don't know why he targeted Kevin like this, because at this point, I was like, because Fred was doing little shit to him. He'd go in the refrigerator, eat his food. You know what I'm saying? He'd go in the refrigerator, eat his food and shit like that. Because one time, Fred went in the refrigerator, right? And the thing about it is, I would always be in the vicinity when Fred would do shit, right? Because like this one particular time when he ate his food, Fred, because I used to be hanging out in the break room, or if I finished my work and shit like that, I would hang out in the break room or go in one of the aisles and hide and shit like that while reading comic books and shit. Fred had went in the refrigerator. He saw Kevin's food, right? Fred said, fuck this motherfucker, yo. He said, fuck this motherfucker. And he took it, opened the microwave, threw it in there, heated it up, snatched it out. He heated it up for like a good minute or two. I was like, what is you doing? It was always a question mark over my head when it was me and Fred. No bullshit. I said, what is you doing? He was like, fuck this motherfucker. So I figured that was his lunch he was eating, right? Fred shoved a bunch of food in his mouth, ate it like this. He was like, you want some? I was like, I'm not really hungry like that, right? Ate it, put it back in the microwave, turned that bitch on for like 7 minutes and let it cook, and then put it back in the refrigerator. Came back after it beeped and put it back in the refrigerator. Kevin comes in there during break time because Kevin used to take a different break from all of us, right? Kevin comes in there. We just heard him scream like, now mind you, Kevin wasn't like one of these church-going guys. You know what I'm saying? Kevin was like, he don't curse or nothing. Man, he reached in that refrigerator, saw that rice and all them noodles and shit was all crunchy and dried up from Fred putting that shit on for 7 minutes and eating it too. Kevin, he said, shit! and threw the bowl and shit like that. I ran out the break room and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, the fuck? I said, Fred, what is you doing? He said, fuck that motherfucker. He said, I was like, why'd you do that? Fred said, cuz. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Last story. They gave us a boot allowance because all of it's coming back to me. They gave us a boot allowance, right? So, we would get new boots and shit like that when the boot truck come by, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Me, myself, I would sometimes get some, Naima, Fred was wild. Fred was wild. Everybody think I was the wild one. I was, but as we got older, Fred was wild. I'm telling you. A lot of this shit that I used to do when I was younger, it's like we switch personalities. Like, I used to always just be looking at this nigga like, why is you doing that? He was like, shut the fuck up. I was like, you know what I'm saying? So we get a boot allowance, right? Again, his victim is Kevin. He was either harassing Kevin or the Colombians that worked there, right? He would eat the Colombians' food. Yeah, exactly. Anybody that knew Fred was man. So this one story right here, right? I'm gonna let y'all finish. I'm gonna finish y'all off with this one. Fred was we in the warehouse, we working and shit like that. And Boots came in, right? Now, when they give you your boots, that you sign off for them and everything like that, whatever the case may be. Fred signed off for Kevin's boots, right? Fred signed off for Kevin's boot, put him in his cubicle and shit like that, right? Put him in his cubicle and shit like that. Took an industrial razor blade, right? And went around the whole sole of his boot like this. Because me and myself, I was sometimes, throughout my whole life, I was always being put on punishment or some shit like that, right? And so because I was always joking and laughing and shit like that, I had other workers up there laughing and joking. We would work, but they didn't want us laughing and joking. They would put me sometimes by myself and shit. But what Kevin's cubicle was and shit like that, I could see right into it because I had to sometimes strip the furniture or load bios and the shit, do all that other crazy shit like that. They would give me the grunt work. Kevin gets his boots. He all happy and shit like that. And sometimes I would get blamed for shit because I was in the vicinity. And whenever that shit would happen, I would just be staring like this, right? I saw Fred do this shit, right? He went around this whole motherfucker's boot with the industrial razor blades, like the razor blades that they use to cut like the major straps and shit like that. He went around his whole boot like this. And I was like, what is you doing? And Fred just turned back and looked at me. He was like, none. I was like, all right. So, I'm up there talking about Street Fighter and other stupid shit. He's like, yeah. Study cutting his motherfucking boot like that. He was like, yo, but if I use that girl and this, that, and the other, study cutting the boot, right? So then he put the boot back in the box, this, that, and the other. I said, what you do? I didn't know he had cut it until later on. So we all, Kevin come in there, he see his boots there. It's been signed for and everything. Because when we got our boots, all of us would just sign, and just be like this for because your name would be on it. He signed for he saw that his boots were signed for. He go to put them on, right? Kevin all souped up and shit like that. And you know what I'm saying? He started keeping his shirts. Next to him in his cubicle because I guess I don't know. Somebody, I don't think nobody told, but I guess he put two and two together like, yo, that's shit on your collar that you got. You know what I'm saying? That's toe funk you got going on and shit like that. So then, what's his name? Kevin goes to put on his fucking boot, right? And you know how you push your boot, your foot through? He had laced it up and everything because I guess he the way he put it on, it didn't really come whatever. So he put it on, he strapped it up tight. As soon as he yanked that thing and pushed his foot, his whole foot came through that motherfucker. He said, shit, motherfucker, who the fuck did? I went like that. I was like this, right? And he was like, Danae, who the fuck did? I said, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't know. I said, you put me here. I said, I don't know. I didn't even, what's the name? He was standing over me and shit. I was like, Kevin. I said, Kevin, what the fuck is wrong with you? I said, I didn't do nothing to you. Kevin was a big dude, but I would whoop his ass if I had to. You know what I'm saying? But if, you know, like if I could just talk this motherfucker down, I'll do that. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker, Fred, had cut the whole sole around his boot enough to where as though when he pushed his foot through, the shit just came off like that. He was mad as fuck. Everybody, that was the one time we got in trouble. I think they suspended. No, did they suspend us? Because I know we got suspended a couple of times from work because we was always doing shit. I think it was some type of fucking repercussion behind that shit. I know the head guy, one of the head guys from AT&T came to the warehouse and they was like, yeah, Danae, we know you. We know you and Fred, Carlos Ariza. It was all right. These were the jokers. These were the motherfuckers that was always getting into trouble at work. It was Carlos Ariza from Colombia, Chumpiras from Colombia. Jamie was with us, but he was a kiss ass. Jamie, Fred, and me, and I rather. We were always the ones getting in trouble. So the head guy from AT&T came there, and he was like, all right. He was like, that's enough. He said, Danae, Fred, and when he called my name, I said, you know? He said, yes, we all know about you. Everyone knows about you, Danae. You, Fred, Carlos, you have to stop. Because the next time we're going to fire you, and then this and the other. I said, well, if you fire me, I mean, you know, he was like, Danae, cut it. His name was Ralph Body. Yep. But yeah, I got a ton of stories for you guys when it comes to Fred. Rest in peace, Fred. I love you very much. You know, I'm going to miss him, man. I'm going to really miss him. God, I'm going to miss that dude, man. They don't make him like that anymore. It was you and Fred who prepared me for all my future Black people gatherings as you two helped introduce me to spades. There you go. Yep. Tell them, Naima. They didn't live, this new generation, they didn't live like us, man. We had fun. Yeah, we had some rough times, but we had fun. Even from my childhood. We didn't have that much. And the thing about it, like Daniel said, our community was close-knit. We literally had a community that spanned, because usually most people only interact when they're kids within, I would say, like a 2-block radius. We interacted with, I would say, like at least like a 5 or 6 block radius. Like our friends would come from like fucking all the way up on fucking Hobson Street, down to Renner, down to Schuyler, all that shit. Y'all knew your assignment. Sounds like a beautiful friendship, brothers. Yeah, man. Nobody, like me and Daniel had a close friendship. Me and Fred had a close friendship. Like it was a brotherly thing. It was a brotherly thing. And when I really look at it, their families always took care of me. My friends always took care of me. And I learned from them. I learned from them and men out on the street on how to conduct myself, along with my uncles and stuff like that. Because as we was getting older, our uncles was getting older. My grandmother was dying and getting older and all that other shit. But I learned a lot from surrounding myself around other men and other people. I learned a lot surrounding myself around Fred, how to conduct myself professionally, how to speak well, how to broaden my vocabulary. Fred taught me all of that. You know, he endorsed, like, you know, like, yo, say it like this or say it like that. Because I was always a person who loved to read, but Fred would literally interact with me to where so I had to use an extensive vocabulary to communicate with him. You know? So did his mom. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, rest in peace, Fred. Love you guys. Thank you so much, Mika, for the pineapple bowl. It's a little bit too much for me. I love it, ladies and gentlemen. She made me a pineapple bowl, as you can see, a pineapple shrimp bowl. I am so full. This whole thing is filled with shrimp and pineapple. Shrimp, pineapple, and rice. And I'm full. It is very good. Thank you very much, Mika. I'm gonna eat one more shrimp. Delicious. But I couldn't have a better friend. I couldn't have better friends, online and off, and within my real life. Like honestly, there are people that I've never. Oh my God, it's amazing, Sachiko. Sachiko, it's amazing. It's amazing. She put her foot in this shit, man. She put her foot in this shit. And thank you. She knew I was feeling down. And you know, I haven't really been posting and shit like that because I go through highs and lows, man. Like you saw just a little while ago. 1 minute I'm cool and I'm laughing, and next minute it's too much shit around here to remind me, even when it comes to the toys and shit. Like, you know, Fred used to collect action figures when we were young. You know what I'm saying? He didn't grow up to keep collecting them like I did. But if I was to point to anything in here, he knew what it was. Me and Fred used to trade comic books together. You know what I'm saying? All that shit, man. I remember late nights going to get Chinese food, walking all the way to Lyons Avenue and shit like that. In the dead of cold to get Chinese 4 chicken wings and pork fried rice with extra gravy. We used to get that shit. I'm gonna miss him, man. I'm gonna miss him. But yeah, I consider everybody, even online, I consider you guys my friends, my genuine friends. I'm gonna let you guys go. I didn't even know it was 12:01. I'll let you guys go. I love y'all. Rest in peace, Fred. Thank you guys for stopping through. I'm gonna miss him. We all gonna miss him. My heart goes out to his family and friends and his his loved ones and everything like that. I can only imagine what they're going through. And Mommy Diane, if you're watching this, I'm here if you need me. Give me a call. I know. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And hey, Naima, remember how he used to talk crap to Alnisa, and Alnisa would just look at him like this. Alnisa would be like, she would just be staring at him like, he was like, and yeah, and that's why you're dying. Well, that's why you're losing. And he talked a lot of shit when we played spades. He talked a lot of shit. But yeah, guys, I love you guys. Take care. Thank you for reaching out. Be sure to reach out to the Primes, the Atwells, so on and so forth. Ask how their mother doing. Ask, and everything. You guys are the best, man. Thank you so much just for listening, because I was going through it. Even when it comes to music that I listen to, like I won't listen to and it's inevitable because certain shit gonna play. You know what I'm saying? Fred loved house music. I got him into that. I got him into house music though. I got him into house music, but a lot of things Fred got me into. He made sure. I don't know why he wouldn't get on motorcycles though, because when I got a motorcycle, I wanted to teach him how to ride, and he was like, "No, I'm not getting on that shit." You're like, "Fuck that." That's Fred. But love you guys, man. Take care.